Hi, I'm Laurie Strong, and this presentation covers what I have learned about using the CREW method to weed or discard materials in the library. CREW stands for Continuous Review, Evaluation, and Weeding. I practiced using the CREW method in an elementary school library. The librarian is actually retiring next month and in the process of weeding books anyway, so she let me choose a section of nonfiction books to weed for her. I chose to do the English section of sports, which is Dewey Call numbers 796 through 799. This sports section covers three shelves that are not overly crowded and have a wide variety of sports represented. At a quick glance, most of the books seem to be in pretty decent condition. The librarian told me that this section is very popular and many books are checked out right now, which is why there is lots of extra space. She has recently ordered a lot of new books, and most of those are what is checked out at the moment. I scanned each book to look at copyright dates and circulation history. Using the CREW formula, I determined that the books for this section should combined have been checked out in the last 3 years and have a copyright date of less than 10 years, as well as follow the MUSTY criteria. MUSTY stands for misleading, which is older and factually inaccurate material, ugly, which is tattered and beyond fixing, superseded, which means a better edition can be found elsewhere, including the internet, trivial, which is no sufficient reason to keep it, irrelevant, which means even if it's a great book, it's just not of interest or being used by the library patrons, and elsewhere, which means it can be easily found or borrowed elsewhere. On the shelves for this section, I found 156 books. I found quite a few that were outdated and had been purchased when the school opened in 2010 and had little to no circulation over the last few years, and surprisingly, only one book that was falling apart. Of the 15 books I pulled, there were 9 that were outdated with misleading information and that already had better editions already on the shelves. I found the one ugly book that was falling apart. There were 4 books that weren't quite as old, but there were other similar books that could be easily checked out on the district's digital resources, or they could have a physical copy sent through interlibrary loan. There was one book that was a really great book that had a lot of awards, but that did have an older copyright date and was really of little interest to the students and hadn't been checked out in a long time. There were 6 more books that I would have pulled from the shelves based on the CREW criteria, but there were only 1 or 2 of that particular sport on the shelves. So in these instances, the librarian took note of the books so she could purchase new and updated versions of that sport, but had me leave them on the shelves for now until the new books arrive. Then she will weed them at that time. I feel like overall, this section of the library has been successfully weeded, and I really appreciated the opportunity to get a better understanding of how the whole process works. It was extremely helpful having the librarian there to ask questions to when I wasn't sure about an item. And I feel like the next time that I'm weeding, I will be more confident in my decisions. Here's my reference, and thanks for listening.